My name is Lena Hart, and all I ever wanted was a quiet life on my little 3-acre farm at the edge of Cedar Ridge. I raised horses, sold hay, and kept mostly to myself. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't loud. And I definitely wasn't the type of person who went picking fights. But as I learned the hard way, sometimes the fight comes to you. And sometimes it comes with clipboards, matching polos, and the nerve to think they own every square inch within a 2-mile radius. Yep. I'm talking about the Cedar Ridge HOA. And this is the story of how they burned down my hay barn, and how I made sure they never messed with me, or anyone else ever again. It started small. A note taped to my mailbox. Grass must not exceed 2 inches in height per HOA standards. My property wasn't even in HOA jurisdiction. So I ignored it. A week later, a second notice appeared. Unapproved fencing material used around livestock. I sighed. What livestock? I muttered. These are my horses. On my land. Then came the third note, yellow, thick, and threatening. Final warning before fines. I actually laughed then. I couldn't believe what they had written. I had never, not once, signed anything that placed me under HOA rules. I lived on old county land, long before Cedar Ridge ever existed. But they treated me like I was a rebellious teenager sneaking a car out after curfew. So I decided to pay them a visit. The HOA office sat at the end of a pristine cul-de-sac lined with identical homes, identical lawns, identical garden flags, everything identical down to the fake shutters. I walked inside. And that's where I met Vivian Hale. Tall, perfectly styled blonde hair, lipstick so sharp you could slice bread with it, and an expression that said she judged everything I wore, said, or breathed. She didn't even look up. You're late on your lawn compliance fine. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? Lot 47, she said, clicking her long nails on the desk. You received 3 notices. I'm not lot 47, I said calmly. I'm lot, nothing. I'm not in the HOA. Slowly, she raised her eyes. Oh. Her smile tightened. You must be the farmer. I ignored the tone. My property isn't in your HOA, I repeated. Vivian leaned back in her chair. Well, that might be what your papers say, but everyone in Cedar Ridge must follow the same standards. It keeps the neighborhood looking beautiful. I'm not in your neighborhood. You border it, she said. That makes you part of our visual environment. I stared at her. I genuinely didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So because you can see my land, you think you control it? She shrugged. It's only fair. Our residents didn't move here to stare at fields. That's when I knew I had to fight back. I left without another word. If only I knew what they were planning next. It was a hot, dry afternoon in August when everything changed. I was in the kitchen making sweet tea when I smelled something sharp, like burning plastic mixed with hay. Scout, my shepherd mix, started barking wildly. I ran outside. And my heart dropped into my stomach. My hay barn, the one my grandfather helped me build, was engulfed in bright orange flames. No! I screamed, sprinting toward it. 2 men in fluorescent HOA maintenance vests stood nearby, holding gasoline cans. Gasoline. Hey! I shouted. What are you doing? One of them stammered. We're doing an approved yard cleanup. By burning my barn? The other man pointed at a clipboard like it was a holy artifact. Vivian said this structure was an eyesore. Said it was condemned. My shock turned to fury. That barn isn't even on HOA land. We're just following orders, he yelled. I grabbed the hose and tried to spray the flames, but it was too late. The entire structure groaned, then collapsed inward, sending sparks into the air. I fell to my knees. Everything I'd worked for, my hay reserves, my equipment, my feed gone. And the HOA men? They left before the firefighters even arrived. The fire marshal took one look at the scene and raised an eyebrow. Who authorized this burn? I pointed at the paper on the ground, the so-called cleanup order. He scanned it slowly. This isn't legal, he said. This signature isn't even a county signature. My hands shook. So they forged a document to burn my property? He nodded grimly. You need a lawyer. Today. He wrote down a name. And that's when I met attorney Nia Torres, a woman who could shred steel with her words alone. When I finished explaining everything, she said, Lena, this wasn't just property destruction. This was criminal negligence. And if we handle this right? You'll own more than just your 3 acres by the time we're done. What do you mean? I asked. Her eyes gleamed. You might end up owning the HOA. I blinked. That's possible? Oh, trust me, she said. It's more than possible. When the HOA received the lawsuit, Vivian arrived at my gate the next morning, heels clicking, sunglasses perched on her head like she was the star of a courtroom drama. You petty little drama queen, she hissed. You think you can scare us? You burned my barn. It was a safety hazard. It was on my private land. Oh please. She rolled her eyes. Your property ruins our community aesthetic. It was only a matter of time. I actually laughed. You just admitted to it, I said, recording her on my phone. She froze. Then lunged for my phone. I stepped back. Touch me, and I add assault. She shook with rage. You're going to lose, she spat. I smiled. We'll see. The hearing lasted nearly 6 hours. Vivian tried everything. Claiming the barn was abandoned. Claiming they didn't know it was mine. Claiming I verbally gave consent. Even claiming the hay was a biohazard. It was all ridiculous. Then attorney Nia stood. Your Honor, she said, we have evidence of forged county documents. Unauthorized land entry. Intentional property destruction. Misuse of HOA funds. And an attempt to extend HOA jurisdiction illegally. She placed the gasoline-soaked vest and the fake paperwork onto the table. Vivian's face drained of all color. The judge's ruling came down like thunder. The HOA is hereby ordered to pay full restitution for damages, plus punitive fines for misconduct. But that wasn't even the best part. The judge added. Due to proven corruption within board leadership, a mandatory special election will be held. Any homeowner or adjacent landowner affected by HOA decisions may run. Vivian's mouth fell open. Adjacent landowners? I whispered. Nia leaned in. That includes you. Vivian said the quiet part out loud. This isn't fair. She's a farmer. The judge replied calmly. And a victim of your board's illegal actions. Election day was delicious. Residents lined up outside the clubhouse, some glaring at Vivian, others whispering about the fire I had recorded. And me? I ran on a simple platform. Stop bullying people. Apparently, that was all they needed. I won. By a landslide. The next week, I became the new HOA president, something I never imagined in my entire life. Vivian stood in the back of the room as I took my oath. Her face looked like she'd bitten into a lemon soaked in vinegar. Effective immediately, I announced, the HOA will refund all residents for bogus fines, eliminate illegal policies, and restore the barn the board destroyed. A cheer rose through the room. Vivian stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame rattled. It's been almost a year now. My new barn stands taller, safer, and prettier than the old one ever did. The HOA? Peaceful. Fair. Drama-free. And Vivian? She had to sell her house to pay the fines. She moved 2 towns over. Residents tell me she still mutters about me at grocery stores, calling me the farmer who ruined her life. But I didn't ruin anything. I protected what was mine. If someone tries to intimidate you with fake authority, if they try to bully you into submission, if they burn down what belongs to you, literally or figuratively, stand your ground. Know your rights. And never underestimate what one determined person can do when pushed too far. Because sometimes, justice doesn't just restore what you lost. Sometimes, justice hands you the entire HOA.